Alright, section 8.5 is adding and subtracting rational functions. So remind yourself to add or subtract rational expressions, you have to have a common denominator. So in this first one, you're adding and we have a common denominator. So I can literally just add the numerators. So 2x squared plus 2, and that's all divided by the common denominator, which is x squared plus 1, and then you should always check your numerator and notice that you can factor out a 2 from your numerator, which leaves you with x squared plus 1, which happens to also be my denominator, and they cancel out, so that really just adds to 2. Alright, the second one does not have a common denominator, so the very first step, of course, is finding the lowest common denominator, or the LCD. So what you do is look at the numbers. Well, 5 and 6, the first multiple they have in common would be 30. And then x and x squared, they share an x, and then to make that x squared I need another, so the LCD would be 30x squared, and double check it should be the smallest multiple of both 5x and 6x squared, and both of them, 5x and 6x squared, divide into that, so we're good. Now it's time to adjust my fractions, so I'm just going to rewrite this with a little bit of space in between. So if I want to make this denominator 30x squared, I'm going to have to multiply by a 6 and an x, and notice that would be 30x squared. So I have to multiply the top also by a 6 and an x. The second denominator just needs to be multiplied by 5 to make that a 30x squared, so the numerator also times 5 to balance out, of course. And then when I multiply these out, 12 times 6x would be 72x, plus 7 times 5 is 35, and that's all divided by 30x squared, my common denominator. And nothing factors out of 72x plus 35, so that is my answer. Alright, the next one does not have a common denominator, and both denominators can be broken down, so I'm going to rewrite x squared plus 4x plus 4 as x plus 2 times x plus 2, and my second denominator is x plus 2 times x minus 2. So what they have in common, or the least common denominator, they both have an x plus 2 in common, so I can write that down one time. And then the leftover stuff they don't share in common is another x plus 2, so I'm going to square that, and an x minus 2. So again, I'm going to write this out, but I'm going to leave a little space in between the two fractions so I can adjust. So the least common denominator is x plus 2 squared times x minus 2. So this one needs the x minus 2. And the plus 6 needs the other x plus 2. And then I simplify the numerators so I can distribute, or excuse me, add the FOIL, the first one. So this, if I FOIL out, I get x squared minus x minus 2. And the second one I get 6x plus 12. And that's still over, of course, that LCD. But before I rewrite all of that, I'm going to add my numerator together. And I get x squared minus x plus 6 would be plus 5x, minus 2 plus 12 would be plus 10, and that is all over the common denominator, which is x plus 2 squared times x minus 2. Always double check just in case your numerator, if it factors, but that does not factor. So that's your final answer. Alright, the last one, of course, is the doozy, the complex fraction, which would be the difference between two fractions divided by a fraction, so fraction within a fraction. So I would start with any addition or subtraction you have, so obviously this numerator is what I'll start with, and I can't factor out 2x minus 5, but I can take out a 4 here, so I will start there. So if I factor out a 4, that leaves me with a 2x minus 5. And I'll just rewrite that denominator. So then the LCD I can see really quite easily. They have a 2x minus 5 in common and then a 4. So the first fraction just needs a 4 to match. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by a 4. And that will give me, when I subtract, I'll have 4 minus 7 over 4 times 2x minus 5. And 4 minus 7 is negative 3. And the denominator, since I'm dividing by a fraction, I'm going to flip this second fraction and multiply. So multiply by 2x minus 5 over x, and the 2x minus 5's cancel, so my numerator is negative 3, and my denominator, if I multiply straight across, is 4x.